Houston, our instruments are showing that we have a incoming message from deep space. Repeat, Houston, we have an incoming message from deep space. Houston, we'll begin playing message now. Houston, we're going to try and translate that up here. Hold for translation. Translation complete. We'll begin playing message now.
Hey, it's me, Melissa.
What do you do when the aliens invade? Take a shot of MK Ultra and watch Melissa Jade. Put on your tinfoil hat and tune right in. We got that crime spree, flat earth theories, government conspiracies, a complex Mandela effects, unidentified objects of mind expanding, fake moon landing, what are dolphins understanding? It's me, Melissa. It's me, Melissa. Aliens on the sun or in Area 51. Time travels, unravels, haunted castles, cops are baffled, potential experimental thoughts that make you transcendental. It's me, Melissa. It's me, Melissa. Crime sprees, flat earth theories, government conspiracies, complex Mandela effects, unidentified objects of mind expanding, fake moon landing, what are dolphins understanding? It's me, Melissa. It's me, Melissa.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Portlinda. Hey, Chloe Moon, Sarah Bellum, Always Street. We have Kiki, Trish, Petunia, Jojo, Tony. Welcome, Tony. Cherokee Girl, Creative Minds, Harlot, People Me, Cool Gamer, Allie, Chelsea Lee, Natasha. Oh, I forgot to message you, Natasha. Sarah, Freeside. It's not rocket science. Dude, Daniel, Michelle, Lisa. Trish says, can't do Wade. Happy to be back in Tisha land. It's not for everyone. Oh, Kiki. So if you, you're so sweet, Chelsea. If you, I guess this would be a perfect, if you don't know, oh my God, I guess I'm just a little bit shocked. If you don't know anything about Tisha, okay? Is it too late to get into the case? Thank you, Jeffrey. No. Letecia, if you, and I know that you watch the Wade stuff, Letecia is probably one of the most fascinating cases I've ever looked into for unique reasons, very unique reasons. Letecia is, I don't know how you would even describe her. You'd have to ask the chat to think of keywords to describe Tisha. But Tisha, if you want to go on a wild ride of the most bizarre, out of the world, lies, behavior, cruel torment, but at the same time, just ludicrous, that's Letecia Stauch. Yeah, and so right now we're going over the actual trial. So that's what I was saying earlier. It's actually good if you don't know anything about it, but I would go and yeah, succubus. Exactly, cutie pie. Hi, Gen X girl. I think it's worth doing a recap on it, watching, getting an A to B kind of thing, and then going through her pretext calls, going through all the everything is uploaded and available. You could go listen to all of the calls available on Alex Erickson's or Jen Lou's channels without any commentary. We've done lives on all of the social media posts. We've done lives covering every single thing regarding this case, and it never ceases to become old, if that makes sense. Hi, Sydney, because there's just so much. There's just so much. Even with how crazy of a ride Wade right, with the Wade wives cult is, nothing compares to Tisha. Like I have not seen anything that compares to Tisha yet. You've watched the trial 3 times on its own. I think it's when you know everything else that it's just like, oh my God, like there are people like that. Like, yeah, there are people like this. And with Letecia, it's such a heavy, heavy, heavy topic because what she did was truly horrific. But there's so much room for laughs also, not regarding the crime at all, but her behavior is the most bizarre thing that you'll ever witness. And she's just one crazy bitch. But I would say that she is by far one of the cruelest people one of the cruelest criminals I've ever looked into. Hi, Dion. Until I found you guys, and being able to hear someone say my exact thoughts out loud while listening is so damn funny. Dude, I don't know. Like, this is just, it's a case study. And this is, Harley, this is what I talk about with Wade actually very often, okay? When you don't hold someone accountable. Letecia, I think it's a variety of factors. I think she had to have been born with whatever something was wrong that could even make her capable of this. 2, I think she got away her entire life without any real consequences. And we speak about all the time how dangerous that could be. It's fucking dangerous because when you don't hold someone accountable and they get away with the most horrific shit, it's always going to get taken up a notch and a notch and a notch. And I've been talking about that a lot with Wade and all of these women who are not holding him accountable and literally still reaching out, still having orgasms on the phone with a convicted murderer while he actively abuses them. That's the truth. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think he's ever going to, hey, this isn't right? I fucked up. I did wrong. No, it's only going to get worse and worse because you're essentially saying it's okay. It's okay. And that's what happened to Letecia. And unfortunately, I think today's society plays a role. I think we've created horrible people in today's society. Hi, Queen Bella. And so there's a lot of factors, but that was like a long rant to say, yes, Kiki, I think it's worth getting into if you are not familiar with Letecia Stauch. Yeah, thank God Tisha doesn't have her own sex cults. That's true. Yeah, so fact. Letecia drove from Colorado to Florida with her murdered stepson decomposing in a suitcase, and she threw him over a bridge with her daughter in the vehicle the whole time. She is a psychopath in the sense that she had his body in a suitcase in the home while she called the cops and had them do a walkthrough. We watch body camera footage where this officer is essentially inches away from finding his body. It is absolutely, I don't know. I get an adrenaline rush myself watching it because it is so crazy that she didn't even crack. Yes, Kiki. This is what I'm saying. Like, it is one of the most horrific cases involving a child. But it's also holy, and she's a dumb motherfucker. She's a dumb one. But she always managed to kind of just get away. Hi, Adrian. So it's been almost a week since we've done Tisha. We haven't gone that while without doing Tisha. The last live, it was last Members Only Monday when we did Tisha. And if you guys remember, where we were in the trial was with that female, I think she was a doctor, up on the stand. Hi, in my opinion, allegedly. And so we had like an hour left of her testimony, and that's where we had paused. Oh, we have, Kitty. And you know what? Like, we've gone through all of the calls, and I know Allie, which is Alex Erickson, and Jen Lou are literally editing right now to drop more calls. So you need to go through all of them. Because it's insane. Crazy. Wait, no, it's crazy, not insane. what she didn't get caught for, what led up to this. What led up to it was an entitled, lazy bitch who did not want to take care of her stepkids, who got jealous that her marriage was essentially coming. They were coexisting. The marriage wasn't actively happening. And she felt like a glorified babysitter. Those were her words. Her Google searches, which I know we're approaching in the trial right now, are the most bizarre thing you'd ever see. And prior to the murder, she staged numerous break-ins. She staged numerous sexual assaults for attention. And that's what I'm saying. You don't hold someone accountable and you let them get away with it, they're always going to step it up a notch, to the point where she eventually took 12-year-old Gannon in the most horrific way possible. Hi, Elf Susie. I know, Steph. I'm rolling on in, waiting for it. I'm waiting for it. I'm so excited. All right, so we have our missing child for tonight's live stream. Let me pull them up. I'm so tired. It's been such a long weekend. Well, no, not weekend. The weekend flew by, but like it was long because I did way too much talking and chaos and my head hurts. So I'm like, we got to just kind of chill with Tisha tonight. Let me pull up. Oh, I have way too many things sent. Okay. This is our, hi MK. This is our missing child for tonight's live stream. This is Ayla Reynolds. Ayla has been missing since December 16th, 2011 out of Waterville, Maine. She would be 14 years old currently. It says that her left arm was in a sling at the time of her disappearance, and she was last seen wearing green pajamas with polka dots, which said Daddy's Princess written on the front. So if you or anyone you know has information on Ayla's whereabouts, please contact the Waterville Police Department at 1207-872-5551. I love the energy, MK. Woo! Yeah, just chill it. You know what I mean. Not with her, but with her. You know what I mean? Just chilling with some Tisha content tonight. Okay. I know she's adorable. Adorable. Where's my spray? Where? Oh. Spray happens. Well, all right, hold on. I gotta. Hold on. Okay. So, hi, Kathy 4. Yes, I'm in my pajamas. I'm in them. So get your pajamas on. You miss Aunt Brenda. I know, right? I never thought I would. I never thought I'd feel that way. So, oh, I'm so excited. You've been recognized, Mom. There's the Jackie lady. You're in your PJs, Bogart? Good. I feel like this is a PJs type of nice. We're just going to chill out. Wait, shoot, are you referring to Leticia's childhood? I know, right? Where's Barb? Where's Barb, yo? Yay, Cherokee girl. Cutie pie. Cutie pie's like, I never got out of my PJs. That's a good Sunday. That's a good Sunday. I'm sorry. I'm trying to open this spray. Okay. So you guys ready? Since we're watching Letecia, I have something on that makes me look like a lumpy square. Perfect. Looking all obtuse and shit. You got your 90-degree angles ready? Ugh. Perfect. All right. So, hi, G-Wiz. Hell yeah. I started watching the Menendez, the Monsters of the Menendez Brothers on Netflix. I'm almost finished with the second episode. I know I'm late in the game. I just don't have enough time. Hi, Keith. Hi, Melissa. Yeah, I'm sure she did. Bigfoot is real, but I wish she stepped on a shit ton of Legos. That shit is painful. Painful. Okay. So we're going to do this. So again, where we last left off, we had this witness up on the stand. She was going through Letecia's. She worked at the jail at the time that Letecia was arrested. So she's been up on the stand for like an hour and a half. Like she's been up on the stand for a while. And there was like about an hour left of her testimony. This is the woman who actually ended up eventually telling Letecia that Gannon's remains had been recovered. Ew, I hate hearing that. Okay. And so she's been going through what was Tisha like at the time. She's been approved as an expert, and what was her mental health like at the time? What signs did she exhibit? Everything like that. And so, yes, it's in the middle, but I remember we paused it at a good point. So we're going to finish out her testimony. Yeah, and you know what? That's so funny that you said that. And I was going to Google, did Lyle really play that at the funeral? And so you answered my question. Hi, Grace. And where did I see? I saw a comment. You went down the Ketty cabin rabbit hole last night. I know, cutie pie. I'd love to discuss it. Because it's crazy. It's a crazy one. But okay. All right. So I'm going to start this. We got Tisha looking all obtuse. She's got that bun on the top of her head. Hi, hey, Jude. And hi, Forgets and Shiggles, Crime Crochet Coiffé. Hello. And yeah, just jump right into it.
And then Caitlin, who was the one who answered that kite, also.
Okay, hold on, jumping back a bit.
And what was the response to those kites? Do you recall?
They were answered simply with the words "kite received." That was what was sent back to her because there wasn't a specific request in there. And then Caitlin, who was the one who answered that kite, also noted, so this wouldn't have been sent back to her, but would have been in the note, is these kites from patient are not consistent with prior presentation or language.
So if you guys remember, we last left off and Tisha sent a bizarre fucking kite. And we know, because we've gone through those kites. We could pull those kites back up if you guys are interested going through them again. She sent a bizarre fucking kite. And then they're trying to use it as if like it helps push credibility into her being crazy. And they're like, nah, this isn't at all how she was acting when she was first. No, Harley Quinn, that's Judge Werner, and he's our daddy. he's our court daddy. We love him. No, but for real, he's a boss. He's a boss, and he's the most respectful, dapper, adorable judge who is so beyond fair you'll ever see. You will fall in love with him. Hi, Jenny. Those kites were nuts.
And was it consistent with your prior contacts with Ms. Stauch up until this point?
That was not consistent.
And has she already returned now from the Colorado Mental Health Institute in Pueblo for her competency evaluation back in the jail?
Yes.
I want to now turn to
No, Keith.
August 28th. Did you attempt to see Ms. Stauch on that date?
Yes.
And were you able to see her?
She refused to be seen by me that day.
Oh, of course she did.
What about September 11th of 2020? Did you have an opportunity to talk to Ms. Stauch then?
You said the 11th?
Yeah, and I apologize. That was, who is Holly Werstein?
She was our psychiatric nurse practitioner, psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. So she prescribed psychotropic medication to the inmates in the jail, in addition to our psychiatrist.
Based on her note in here, did you review that note back in September 2020?
Yes.
And is that a note in reference to her mental condition as she got back from the state hospital in Pueblo?
Yep, cerebellum.
What was that note about and what did you do?
So when people come back from the Colorado Mental Health Institute after a competency evaluation, we do get some records, which would include different medications they might have been placed on there, as well as diagnoses that might have differed from the ones that we initially had. So when individuals come back, we're going to look at those diagnoses, typically prescribe them the medication because that medication is related to them now being alleged to have been competent, although they haven't had their court proceeding to confirm whether they're competent or not yet. And so
hi, Christopher.
I would have reviewed the records, as would have Holly, for the diagnosis as well as the medications. And Holly determined that the diagnosis that was given to Ms. Stauch, which was a bipolar disorder, was actually not consistent with her presentation. So specific to that, a bipolar disorder, in order to meet criteria for that diagnosis, you have to have previously had at least one depressive episode, which is a 2-week period of time where they meet criteria for a major depressive episode. So lots of depression. They might sleep too much or too little. They might eat too much or too little. Some things along those lines. And then you also have to have met criteria for a manic episode, which is typically 4 or more days where they are typically don't need sleep. They're feeling very joyous. They tend to become pretty irresponsible during that time. So maybe it's going on spending sprees or going out and partying a lot, things like that. So you have to have the 2-week depressive episode as well as a 4-day or more manic episode in order to meet that criteria based on the time frame from March until at least July when she went for the competency evaluation. We had not seen or observed any of those sort of episodes. So that's why.
Right, because she didn't have bipolar. She was very adamant. She wasn't struggling with any mental illness, but it was like a year later and she's like, oh crap, you know what? It actually might work in my benefit if I have a mental illness. And so she tried to portray it like she did.
Holly determined that that was not a consistent diagnosis with her presentation at that time.
And do you know whether or not anyone at the Colorado Mental Health Institute in Pueblo diagnosed the defendant with bipolar disorder?
I do not know off the top of my head. Typically, we'll get a pretty basic summary. So we'll get a diagnosis. It doesn't necessarily always say who it's from, as well as medications, but we don't get the full competency evaluation, and we don't always get detailed psychiatric notes from that facility.
Up until this point, had you seen any signs or evidence that Ms. Stauch had bipolar disorder back on September 11th, 2020?
No.
No.
What did you do as a result of that? Did anything change, I guess, is a better thing to say?
No.
Did she receive any additional medication based on that?
As I had said previously, anytime somebody comes back from the state hospital, we do continue those medications just because it's what they had wanted them on. And again, related to the legal proceedings of a competency evaluation, we do want to keep them on those medications. So she, I believe, had been prescribed mini-press, which is also called Prazosin, and that typically helps with nightmares during sleep. Hydroxy.
Those aren't nightmares, ma'am. Those are your memories. That is your conscience.
It looks like it was increased. And again, that was a medication related to anxiety. And I don't see any other medications that that would have been added off the top of my head.
And do you recall meeting with Ms. Stauch on September 11th at 4:24 p.m. after
Hi, Kate.
you read this note from, is it Miss
I don't
Weinstein?
know.
That's Werstein.
Yes.
Tell us about that meeting.
It looks like I was assessing her for weekly rounds. So again, the weekly segregation housing rounds. I noted that she had about 40% medication compliance, so was not taking her meds.
40%, but bitch, if you were really going crazy, right, you would very much rely on those meds, but only 40% of the time, every time she took her meds. Hey, Lori. Hey, we gobshite.
And how do you know that?
We have a electronic MAR, so the medication administration record, and so that shows what doses were offered, if they accepted or refused medication.
Please continue. What else does she have to tell you on that September 11th at 4:24 p.m.?
She said that the Mental Health Institute at Pueblo was going to prescribe her Boost Bar, which is also an anxiety medication.
Yeah, you wish.
And she refused it. And she said her anxiety was getting bad and worse day by day. And then she stated that she's going to start becoming impulsive, have a different personality, and act way out of character, manic.
Who knew? Look, she's even like, shit, new phone, who dis? Yeah, that's right. Tisha tells you, hey, if I don't get my fucking what I need, I'm going to start to act real impulsive. I'm going to start acting really manic. Hey, Homer. Yeah, she announced it. She makes sure.
Have a different personality and act way out of character, manic, and pull her hair out.
Pull her hair out.
What was that all about? Did you ask her that question, or did she just volunteer that information?
That, again, was volunteered information.
Always.
And is that the first time that she's ever mentioned anything to you with regards to having a different personality?
To my knowledge, yes.
Did that trigger anything on your behalf to evaluate her for dissociative identity disorder?
Nope.
No. That to me made me concerned, but it made me concerned because up until that time, for the majority of her contacts, except if it was a weekend and might have not been at the jail, I was pretty much the only one seeing her. And so my concern at that time was if this information does go to court and I'm the only person assessing her, that would be a kind of a one person's word against another. So at that time, I started trying to have some other mental health clinicians also have contact with her. So it was not just my subjective, but other people's subjective observations of her behavior at that time. And again, as I had talked about in clinical and forensic settings, somebody reporting having, or someone saying, okay, I'm going to start acting out, I'm going to be impulsive and have other personalities, then my worry becomes more about, are they going to start faking mental health symptoms?
Yep.
Yeah, essentially if they're just going to start faking things. So at that.
Yeah, you're telling me usually every person before they go manic and have a bipolar episode or a dissociative identity disorder episode that they don't give you a forewarning? No, that makes totally, come on. I know that they give you a forewarning. Hey, Avery.
At that time, my thought would have been, okay, well, now we might see an increase in behaviors that are going to be attempts to act out that aren't consistent with her prior presentations.
If someone truly suffered
Alexander.
from dissociative identity disorder, would they make a statement like that? Hey, I'm going to start changing personalities.
No.
Even know to make a statement like that?
No, in dissociative identity disorder, there's not a control of kind of when the alter ego or altered personality state comes out. It happens, it doesn't happen specific with a traumatic event. It's just kind of an everyday occurrence where, again, there's those lapses of memory. And sometimes in situations where, so let me back up. Dissociations happen across a variety of mental health diagnoses. So you'll see dissociation in somebody with schizophrenia. You'll see dissociation in something like borderline personality disorder, where they might dissociate or kind of have an out-of-body experience. They might be viewing their life as if they were watching a movie, or seeing themselves, looking down on themselves, engaging in that behavior. That dissociation can happen in a variety of mental health diagnoses. Specific to, let's say, borderline personality disorder, that will be triggered by a stressor, so abuse or any perceived threat. That's kind of when that will come out. And specific to dissociative identity disorder, that there is not a control or specific instance when it comes out. It just happens. And so in that situation, when somebody's saying, I'm going to start having different personalities come out, my brain goes to, okay, they're going to start faking this and acting this out, as opposed to it being truly authentic and something that they don't have control over, which would be consistent then with a dissociative identity disorder.
And along the same lines, someone who suffers from bipolar disorder, are they going to be able to brag about being manic in the future?
No.
Would that fall under the same guidelines? That might be an indication that in the future I'm going to be faking it?
Yes.
And a week later, you met with her on September 17th at 3:41. What did you note about your contact with her then?
Hey, Amy. Hey, Aries.
She reported that she sometimes feels okay and sometimes doesn't know how she's feeling. She defined the word okay as normal, functioning, and talking. She said sometimes not, because I talk to stuff. She said she has a hard time with reality in the morning, but then she's okay in the afternoon.
How would you know that, Miss Ma'am? If you were truly struggling with reality, how would you know perfectly? Oh, I'm having a hard time, man. Is this like these calls that we listen to where Letecia's literally like, what year is it? What? It's 2019. Bitch, no.
She reported having a hard time focusing, so she wasn't reading her Bible anymore. And then she began talking about seeing demons in court on September 8th. And when she was on a hike and jumped off a cliff. She also reported,
unfortunately for us all, that did not happen. Hi, Edith.
Sedatives were being aired through the vents and was not sleeping well at night.
Oh, sedatives were being aired through the vents. Where did we just hear this? Oh, yeah, Wade. Wade said the same damn thing. Weird enough.
Did you also meet with her again at 3:41 p.m.?
Yes.
And what did she tell you about her thought form at that point?
She wouldn't have specifically told me anything about that, but the thought form would have been my observations.
Yep,
and what were your observations? I apologize.
It's okay. I noted she was coherent, goal-directed in her comments, was easily redirectable, and appeared to be attempting to feign or fake makeup, having visual hallucinations.
And why do you say that? What was she doing?
That would have been related to the allegation that she had reported about seeing demons in court. So I know she reported that, and I noted that I did not see any of those observations.
And did you reflect back to the week prior where she said she's going to start faking these things?
Yes.
Look at her laughing. Yo, bitch, shut up. You're the one who said you saw demons in court.
Did you see other notes within, what are these notes called within the jail system?
Progress notes.
Oh,
Progress
no,
notes
Fetus. I hope you feel
with
better.
regards to her acting out or acting crazy.
Yes.
I'll refer to you to October 30th, 2020
Look at her
at
laughing.
5:54 p.m.
Acting like this bitch is the one who's crazy.
Yes. So on October 30th, one of the mental health clinicians, Ed Cuveney, had written a progress note, and he had added in that the ward deputy who was observing her that day or working in the ward that day informed Ed that she stated she said she's going to act out because she wants to be listed as crazy.
Was this consistent again to what she told you back on September 11th, 2020?
Yes.
Yes.
Now I want to jump forward to November 17th, 2020 at 2:18 p.m. Did you have contact with Ms. Stauch then?
Yes.
And did she tell you about how she felt or what mental diseases or defect that she had on that?
She reported that she's bipolar, has multiple personality disorder, and PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder.
Okay,
And
Jen.
is this the first time she's ever come out and said, that's my diagnosis, this is my mental illness?
Yes.
And back on March 5th, 2020, with your first contact, did you say, wait a minute, I asked you that question on March 5th and you said nothing about it?
I don't believe I said that to her specifically, but that would have been a thought I would have had, that it was inconsistent with the prior contacts, and especially at the beginning of her stay with us.
And what did you note in your notes with regards to her,
She
her
reported
self-diagnosis
She did
of
for Linda.
multi-personality disorder, PTSD, and bipolar disorder?
Self-diagnosed.
I said she appeared to be at baseline psychiatrically, meaning I did not see any of that. I said there's no overt symptoms of bipolar disorder or PTSD present. And I said she has not presented with symptoms of DID or dissociative identity disorder during any contacts with this writer.
And did she tell you back on November 17th, 2020, how she came up with these mental illnesses?
She
Yep, Sydney.
reported having her competency exam was going to be conducted on November 30th. And she indicated that she is aware and she is smart.
Hey, honey.
And were you, did you learn that she actually had a second competency evaluation as well?
Yes.
She is smart. Okay.
Are we done with this witness?
Embarrassed for her.
Yeah, don't wake me up.
Hi, Grateful Mama.
Let's jump to January 5th, 2021 now.
Yeah.
Did you have contact with Ms. Stauch on that day at 2:37 p.m.?
Beliefs. Yes, I did.
And with regards to questions that you're asking her, did you ask her about her, what is entitled thought form in your notes?
Yes.
What did she have to tell you with regards to that? Or what did you ask her and what was her response?
I don't recall specifically what the way I had formed the question, but she had said she had been, I had noted she was coherent, but she also reported that she was triggered by another patient who continues to bother her. She said that she loses it when she's re-triggered related to anything having to do with sexual assault or harassment.
Okay.
It sounds like the inmates or another inmate was saying some inappropriate things, such as requesting that she show her breasts in order to
No.
stop being bothered.
No.
Then she reported spending 90 days in a psychiatric hospital in Canada in 2018.
Let me stop you there on that.
Sure.
Did you do any follow-up to see if there's any records with regards to that hospitalization in 2018 that she's claiming?
Yeah, it didn't happen.
I do not recall if we did. I know we had at some point we had requested records from South Carolina. To my understanding is that she had signed a release of information, but I do not believe that we got any information after the fact about this hospitalization.
Did you have any information that Ms. Stauch was ever in Canada?
Nope.
I don't.
If she was in fact hospitalized at an inpatient treatment for 90 days in Canada, would there be records to support that?
Yep.
Yes.
Did you make any attempts to get any records from this so-called hospitalization?
I don't believe so.
And this is almost a year, well,
She's face planting into the desk again.
10 months, 11 months after she's been placed in custody.
Yes.
Did she also talk to you about her stepfather and what her stepfather may have done to her?
Yeah, go ahead. Tell us.
Yes.
What did she say about that?
That her stepfather and uncle had sexually assaulted her during her childhood.
And
And is this the first time she brings that up?
Yes.
right before her competency hearing? No way. This definitely isn't a fucking facade. Hey, Melly
Did
Lynn.
that have to do with what she's telling you about this other inmate asking to see her breast or words to that effect?
Yes. So she said she only starts hallucinating when triggered by sexual harassment or assault.
Okay. Sure, Jan.
What did she tell you about her intelligence level on that same day in the note just below the one we just read?
She opined that she was brilliant.
Did you ask her what she meant by that?
I don't believe so.
Oh, gosh.
What else did she tell you after she said she felt that she was brilliant?
Hey, Jude.
She said that she feels that she will start going crazy because she's going stir crazy in her cell.
Mm-hmm.
Did you do anything or make any diagnosis based on what she's telling you now?
The diagnosis did not change
Nope.
based on that.
Did you do any further evaluation based on what she told you about her stepfather and uncle sexually assault?
No.
Did you see any signs of post-traumatic stress disorder based on what she was telling you?
No.
Why is that?
Hey, Miss Buckeye.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. She's telling you that she'd been sexually assaulted by her uncle and her stepfather.
Mm-hmm.
She hadn't said anything about this up until this point, January 21.
I know, Kitty.
Did you think that might have contributed to her having post-traumatic stress disorder?
I mean, any trauma could, any person who experiences a trauma could develop those symptoms. But again, when providing any sort of diagnosis, one of the final criteria you have to match or to make and confirm a diagnosis is a significant impairment in social,
Look at her
occupational,
lawyers going around.
or
her.
other areas of functioning, because in the jail setting, there wasn't any significant impact related to that. It's not necessary to follow through with that. Also, specific to sexual assault or significant trauma, we don't always want to start treatment related to that, because we don't know when people are leaving the jail. And so sometimes opening up and having somebody relive these traumas, is the jail setting is not the most appropriate place for that, because we do want that to be a very personal driven avenue in treatment. And so typically we won't start a full therapy mode related to trauma.
Okay. Now, did you have an opinion as to whether or not her claiming that she had these various mental disorders coincided with her court case? In other words, when she raised competency, it eventually pled not guilty by reason of insanity.
Yes. Again, looking at diagnoses, looking at the not just the criteria in the DSM, and based on my history and training and conducting forensic evaluations, typically people will, when competency is raised or other things in court, or just in general, depending on how court goes, people do tend to then over-report or exaggerate or make up symptoms that are consistent with a diagnosis that might help maybe absolve them of the charges, or have a different sentence, or go to a different location for treatment instead of in lieu of incarceration. So what was observed was consistent with somebody who was acting out symptoms, as opposed to it being a true diagnosis and symptoms.
So embarrassing.
And your role in your position at the jail was not to perform a sanity evaluation, I take it?
Correct.
Or a competency evaluation?
Correct.
In order to do that, you'd want to look at everything, I would take it?
Yes.
And when I say everything, all
She's
the police
folding into the
reports,
table.
everything involved in the criminal case, before you can make any judgment as to that?
Correct.
Those are my questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Oh, please don't ever apologize for that, Mary. Just being here is support enough. Seriously, thank you, though.
Thank you.
We're going to have some cross on this. Might take the rest of the day. We'll see how
Doctor,
long-
good
how long-
afternoon. My name is Will Cook. I represent.
Oh, shit. Where's MK? Where's MK? We have Will Cook up to do some cross. Now, don't forget, we started this last Monday. And so she has been up here for a while. So defense should have quite a few fucking questions to ask her. Okay? Let's see what Will Cook brings to the table.
This might take the rest of the day. We'll see how
Doctor,
long-
good
how long-
afternoon. My name is Will Cook. I represent Ms. Stauch. I'm going to be asking you, would say a few questions, but I'm going to ask you a lot of questions. I'm going to start with some questions near the end, and then I'm going to loop back to the beginning of your testimony. You said that Ms. Stauch or Letecia, only near the end, get this date.
Come on, Cook. Hey, Rhonda. Do you know about closed loop cruise lines? Come on, Cook.
You said she only reported being molested one time to you?
That was my recollection. I believe when she first came into the jail during the receiving screening, she had reported that to the nurse doing her receiving screening intake, but I don't recall that being reported.
Okay, well, you just told Mr. Young that it was the only time that it had been reported, the molestation
To me.
to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Okay, you better you better look down, adjust your fucking what are they? Bifocal, whatever the fuck they are, or glasses, okay? Because it was the only time reported to her, okay? It wasn't asked if it was ever mentioned to anyone else. She can't testify to what was stated to someone else. She could only testify what was stated to her, right? Or else it would be hearsay, okay?
It was the only time that it had been reported, the molestation
To me,
to you.
You know, I'm going to object us to that. That's not the question was. The question was with regards to her stepfather and uncle.
Oh, overruled.
Ha ha.
Do you know when the other time that she reported molestation or sex assault?
without looking at the specific date in my notes, I think she had reported that in 2019.
Yes, Melissa.
When did she report it at the El Paso County Jail?
I don't know the specific
Okay.
date.
Okay. Look at Tisha handing over. Look at her going.
So when she comes into
do I,
the
yeah.
El Paso County Jail, is she handcuffed? When she first gets there and you first see her, is she handcuffed? Is she in a jumpsuit? What's the situation like?
She likely would have been in her cell in the medical ward. And because of her status related to the transport, there would have been 2 deputies probably standing outside of the door. I would have been standing likely in the doorway talking with her.
Status, you mean after she Hulk smashed a deputy en route on a highway and then tried to make a great escape with her talon toes? Right. Go ahead, okay?
Okay. So she was a high risk
Okay.
inmate.
What do you mean by high risk?
You couldn't talk to her unless there were 2 deputies there.
Yes.
Okay. Due to the allegations that she had tried to escape, the high level nature, serious.
I'm sorry, did you just say allegations? It was recorded, okay?
Due to the allegations that she had tried to escape, the high level nature, seriousness of the charges, she was having a close eye kept on her.
Yes.
Okay.
Did you ever have any situations during this time where you were taken into a room, a discreet private room, and you and Letecia were able to sit down and talk?
No.
Okay.
That Mr. Cook, and if you're gonna fucking try to say it was because, oh well, maybe she didn't feel comfortable enough. That's what happens when you literally assault deputies and try to escape while in custody. You don't have the right to sit there and have private conversations. Okay?
It was always you talking through a trap in a door. She'd be locked up.
Her own fault.
No, typically we would, the deputies would have the door open. I did note just when we were reviewing some of my notes that there was one time there was not another deputy, so we did have to talk through the door, but typically the door would be open. I would typically try to talk softly,
Hey, PB&J.
and so that way other people could not hear, and the deputies are typically instructed to just be there and present, but not intently listening into a conversation.
Okay, but you're talking about something that very private, somebody's mental health, somebody's past abuse. These are sensitive subjects for a person, correct?
No shit.
Most people openly report them in the jail setting.
Hmm?
Most people openly report that regardless of who's around.
Okay, that wasn't the question I asked. These are
Oh.
sensitive subjects for people.
They are.
Okay. And not everybody may be comfortable with talking about them with multiple deputies there, a doctor in an open setting.
Sure.
Okay.
You slow your roll.
And you just stated, in fact, you had to cancel one meeting because there was only one deputy available to talk with her, and that wasn't allowed. Is that what happened?
No, I said we had to talk through the door, so they could not open.
They couldn't even open the door unless there were two deputies with her.
Yes.
Okay. And
Try
that's not
to
the ideal
escape.
clinical setting to do mental health work, is it?
No.
It's a terrible setting to do the type of work that you were charged with doing, correct?
I wouldn't say it was terrible. I think people in a jail setting still need services, and
I'm not saying they don't need services. I'm saying this is not an ideal clinical setting.
Right,
And in
Cameron?
fact, it's a bad setting to do this kind of work.
No shit. It's not you see how he's playing like the switcheroo, like no shit. It is not the most ideal setting. And she already agreed to that. But then you have to come in, well, in fact, it's a horrible fucking setting, isn't it? Listen, it's not the most ideal, but I still do my work, right? And there are a lot of receptive inmates of it too.
People are confined. It's stressful. It's loud. There's deputies. I mean, there's a lot of threats. People are on high alert. They don't act in jail like they would out in the street, do they?
That's because out on the street, they act like fucking animals, and that's what got them in this situation to begin with. You know what? I wouldn't even say animals. Animals are too good for that. They act like fucking monsters.
That's kind of general because some people do and some people don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some people get into jail and they absolutely collapse and their symptoms get worse, or some people don't change in jail. So it can be anything.
Could be.
Is that what you're saying? Okay. So where do you work right now? You do mental health work with sex offenders in Kansas?
Yes.
Okay. And is that Larned State Hospital?
Yes.
Okay. Where in Kansas is that?
Larned, Kansas.
Larned, Kansas. Okay. And you've been doing that from September 21st to now?
Yes.
Not September 21st, September 2021 until now.
Yes. Sorry.
Okay. So, and you're the clinical program director now.
Yes.
How many sex offenders do you supervise now?
About 250.
So that's a lot.
Yes.
Is this just a facility specifically for sex offenders?
No.
Okay. Is there a wing or a part of this facility that is dedicated to the sex offenders, though?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Come on, Cook. I know you could do it.
Are you treating people right now, or I presumably with sex offenders, you're treating quite a few people or have a lot of treatment experience with people that suffer from pedophilia?
Yes.
Okay.
Pedophilia.
And is pedophilia just a person who's sexually attracted to underage or age inappropriate people?
You're making me uncomfortable.
It's not just that. There's a pedophilic sexual interest. You could qualify it as to what you described, but a pedophilic disorder is when they then engage in those sexually abusive behaviors towards non-consenting minors.
Okay.
I don't really like how that sounded because minors can't consent, period. So I don't really like the non-consenting minors. And granted, it's my unprofessional opinion, but that sounded a little bit weird to me. Minors cannot consent, period.
So you have sex offenders that are pedophiles, whatever you want to have it. Generally, they prey on underage children.
Some do, and some are that prey on adults as well.
But generally speaking, a pedophile preys on minors.
Yes.
Okay. And one of the ways that minors, or one of the means of access that a pedophile or a sex offender that is preying on underage children may go through is sometimes they ply the victims, the children, with alcohol or drugs to lower the inhibitions of the children, correct? That's a common theme.
I wouldn't necessarily say it was very common, but they could. Some have, but the majority of the ones that I've worked with have not been luring minors with alcohol or drugs.
Okay.
I'll drop the link, Jennifer.
But there's grooming behaviors that go on with the adult towards the children.
Ooh,
In
cheese.
some cases, and sometimes they commit violent acts against strangers as well.
But a child predator, based on your experience, they could use alcohol
Oh my
to
God.
lower the inhibitions of their victim in order to gain access to them and, assault them.
Objection, Your Honor. Ask.
It's asked and answered, but my God, Cook, where are you trying to go with this? And I have a feeling where he's trying to go. If you guys remember earlier on when Dakota was up on the stand, he explained that his father, which would be Letecia's stepfather, forced him to drink at a very, very young age. I think Cook is trying to circle it back around and make the implication that that could have happened to Letecia.
Asked and answered.
Sustained.
So, at the time, September 2021, that you were employed at Larned State Hospital, you were also employed in El Paso County at the jail, correct?
Yes.
How did you do both jobs?
I lowered my hours as in the clinical program director role to part-time and took on the full-time health services administrator position. So I oversaw all of the medical and mental health care at the jail for about 11 months.
Okay.
And you weren't actually an employee of the El Paso County Sheriff's Office. You were employed by WellPath,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
This is a private for-profit company, the largest medical services for prisons and jails in the whole world, correct?
I believe so.
Okay.
Okay.
And as a for-profit company that you were working for, your company makes
Neither do
more
I,
money
Melvin.
and more profit the less money that is spent on the inmates.
Wow.
Your Cook, what is the relevance?
Can we approach?
No, you can't approach, because if you're going to try to say that you didn't look in and she didn't get the quality of care because they want to cut back funding, that is not her. And we all know that's not her. She would have nothing to do with it. That would be the higher up. And you're such a piece of shit. And listen, I know. Let me calm down, because I understand he's a defense attorney and she really has absolutely no defense case at all. So they're trying to do whatever they can. It's not going to work. Spoiler, we know it's not going to work. But my God, this is such a shitty line of questioning.
Let's see if they'll block her view. And they will. So we'll look over here. This is not. We're going to hear that. Basically, they're in the attorney seem. I get that.
Your CV. So, according to your CV, from March 2022 to January, or from March 2022 to January 23, so just a few months ago, you were the health services administrator for WellPath, which had the contract to provide all the health and mental health care services for the El Paso County Jail.
Yes.
Okay. Before that, December 2019 to September 2021, you were the mental health director for WellPath,
Yes.
correct? And the health services administrator job, which I guess you ascended to, was created by WellPath due to litigation and suits against WellPath, your employer at the time, for poor care, and a host and litany of different problems. This spot was created for you and you took it.
Objection, Your Honor, foundation.
Hi, darling.
Overruled. She can answer if she knows.
To be honest, I do not know. That position had, since I was the mental health director at the jail, there was always a health services administrator position. I don't know any different. And prior to December 2019, Armor was the contract company working at the jail.
Okay, but I'm talking about when you started in March of 2022. You were working for WellPath. I'm not talking about the prior contractor. You ascended to that spot because there had been a lot of litigation and suits against WellPath.
Asked and answered.
No.
Objection, Your Honor.
I understand. Overruled. She can answer if she knows the answer.
No, but when I was employed as the mental health director, there was a health services administrator position there.
Okay. And were you aware of all the litigation that was going on with WellPath and your employer at the jail?
No.
Okay. Even though you were supervising financial oversight for all the healthcare services provided at the jail, clinical and administrative work, you had no idea.
That's what she said.
Can you elaborate on what you mean then by litigation with the company? I know that
Suits against WellPath and suits against the El Paso County Sheriff's Department, who was running the jail.
So if there was a lawsuit, at the time I was the health services administrator, if there was a lawsuit, I would have been notified that there was one coming through. But in general, if there's lawsuits across the entire company of WellPath, I would not be privy to that information.
So you don't remember any lawsuits of your time when you were the health services
That's not what she said.
I believe that there were a few that had come through towards the end.
Okay. And from when Ms. Stauch came in March of 2000, going forward, was there anything unusual going on at the jail? Or was it business as normal the whole time?
She came in 2020, not 2000.
I'm sorry, 2020.
You
Thank you.
dumb
Was there
wit.
anything unusual
Yeah.
at the jail?
Yeah.
COVID?
COVID. Did you say COVID?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what she
And
fucking
it
said.
completely changed how everything functioned at the jail, correct?
I wouldn't say completely changed. I think we had to be more mindful of health precautions and wear masks and extra cleaning, things like that, but not.
No, you wore a mask, the employees, but the inmates weren't given masks. And that's
Look at
part
her
of the reason
smiling.
there was a lawsuit that WellPath and the sheriff's office settled.
Again,
Dude, what the fuck what the fuck does Tisha wearing it? And don't act like we didn't see Tisha with a mask on all those video visits with Amy Lang. But what the fuck does Tisha wearing or not wearing a mask have to do with her being not guilty by reason of insanity? You dumb fucking llama hump.
Your Honor, objection, relevance, and foundation.
Sustained. A jury will disregard the question. You can rephrase it. But again, nothing that the attorneys say at any point in
Look
time
at Tisha
is evidence.
crackling.
Rephrase your question.
Were you taking precautions for COVID during your interviews with Ms. Stauch?
My goodness.
I believe that I would have probably had to have worn a mask as required by the jail.
Okay. And when did this begin, the mask wearing?
Oh my God. It was a
I don't know.
pandemic, not epidemic.
March 2020, or is it the
But she
mask
doesn't fucking
mandate
know.
always already in effect March 5th when you
Holy
first contacted her, or was it later in the summer? When did all this happen?
I don't know.
She doesn't know.
Do you remember a COVID outbreak in the jail during your tenure there?
I remember the media alleged that.
Okay, you don't remember the jail allegedly having the largest COVID
Look,
outbreak
even
in the
Werner
state?
cracked. Look. This is why it's Papa Werner. Okay. Look at the judge and look at, because of the way she answers, and look at fucking Tisha. What are you laughing at? You're not part of this joke. Okay. But watch Werner's response to how she answers that.
The jail allegedly having the largest COVID outbreak in the state?
Again, I believe that's how the media phrased it.
Okay.
Look at him. Look at him. Look at him. Oh.
Do you remember the population of the jail during this time being?
But what the fuck are you laughing at, Tisha? She thinks he's actually doing good, as if this is going to prove anything, and it's not.
1,700 inmates before COVID and being lowered to about 11 or 1,200 within a few months because of the COVID threat.
So with the everyday activities at the jail, I mean, I don't really pay attention to why more or less inmates would be there. We
Okay.
just take care of the people who are there.
But as the health service administrator for the jail, I mean, you would notice 500 or 600 people being taken out of circulation due to medical reasons and due to the COVID pandemic.
Objection, Your Honor, relevance.
Jade.
Now, I see a report that you compiled that Mr. Young from the DA's office provided to us in this case. Do you know what document I'm talking about?
I do.
Okay. When did you prepare this document?
So that wasn't, I wouldn't recall that a report, or I'm sorry, I would not term that a report. In preparation for my testimony today, I was taking some notes that I perceived as relevant based on my interactions with Ms. Stauch. And so those were just my personal notes in preparing to testify today.
And you provided these personal notes to the prosecution.
We had been discussing my testimony in terms of when I was going to testify and kind of the nature of that. And I had offered, not thinking that they'd be here right now.
So at the bottom of several of the pages, it says, qualify me as an expert, comma, jail, comma, what do now back in March 2020.
Mm-hmm.
What does what do now back in March 2020 mean?
So Mr. Young had essentially just said that kind of the steps of me testifying today is that I need to be qualified as an expert initially prior to testifying. And then he would ask me questions about what I do now in my current role as a clinical program director and what my role was at the jail previously.
Okay. And what does GAD stand for?
Generalized anxiety disorder.
Okay. And why was that relevant?
That was
Enough for you to put in a note at the bottom of your summary.
Just that was the diagnosis that she had come in with.
Okay. It says also one of the things is theme DACs.
He's essentially said that we were just going to go through all of the notes and talk about any themes that he might see.
And their theme is that she did not suffer from any conditions or have dissociative identity disorder or bipolar or any of these other things y'all spent 4 or 5 hours talking about, correct?
Thank you, Neil's wife. That's so kind. Thank you so, so much.
Objection, Your Honor, to relevance, what our theme is.
Sustained.
Well, the theme of what the DA said was important to you enough to put down at the bottom as a footnote. I guess so you remembered this during your testimony?
I typically just write what's being said. It wasn't important or not important. It's just information shared.
Well, so if it's important, not important, you just write it. Then are some of the things you wrote at the bottom as notes, are some of them unimportant?
I mean, in the sense we just talked about that I would be testifying and that was it.
Hi, Susie.
So you spent some time talking about you and Mr. Young about the day, I think it was March 20th of 2020. That was when you discussed the issue of Gannon's body being found. Is that correct? Do you remember that
Yes.
discussion?
Yes.
And Mr. Young asked you, do you remember what she said? And you said, yeah, Gannon's body was found in Florida, and she said she'd never been to Florida and all this other thing. And he asked you, why was that significant?
Mm-hmm.
Why was it significant in your conversation with Letecia? Why was it significant that she said she'd never been to Florida?
Because that's where his body was found.
Why is that significant?
Seriously?
Well, I'm not sure
Hey, neat noodle.
what you're asking in that sense, but typically somebody with dissociative identity disorder would not be able to, they would have kind of amnesia of certain events. And so it was odd to me that if she was not there, why she would spontaneously say she wasn't there.
Okay. And if she didn't have anything to do with Gannon's disappearance, how would she know he was found in Florida?
Correct.
That's the significance?
Yes.
Okay. Did you know that her attorneys earlier that day had been to visit her?
I don't know that off the top of my head, but if that
And
was
they had
proven-
actually told her that Gannon's body had been found?
Sustained. Jury will disregard.
So if you were to be told that her attorneys that came and talked to her that day,
Your Honor, I'm going to object to this. May we approach?
No, because I see where this one is going, and I think that you can ask it in a hypothetical, because
Oh.
what this witness is talking about is she's testifying about dissociative identity disorder and whether somebody would or wouldn't have recollection of an event based on whether or not they had a particular personality that was manifesting at the time that the person was in a geographical location. So if somebody had some information from some other source, you can ask the witness whether or not this would or would not be consistent with the dissociative identity disorder. So I will allow that.
This judge is very helpful.
well, I just say answer what he just said. But I'll try to put it to you as artfully as the judge did. If, with respect to dissociative identity disorder, if hypothetically Ms. Stauch had heard from her attorneys a couple hours before, said, hey, they found Gannon's body in Florida, would that change how you feel with DID and this portion of what was going on March the 20th of 2020?
No.
No? Why not?
Because with dissociative identity disorder, there's in the DSM, it talks about kind of a possession form or non-possession form, and possession form being, again, that amnesia on inability to recall those certain everyday events versus a non-possession form where, again, they could kind of be depersonalized or still consciously aware that things are going on and they're kind of watching themselves engage in behaviors that they might not, that they still know it's happening, but they might not perceive that they're the one doing it.
But I'm just talking about her parroting to you what her attorney told her an hour or 2 hours before you're talking with her.
Well, again, as I had previously suggested to her not to share, or actually, I'm sorry, it was that day. I think I told her not to share things. No, I'm sorry, it was before that. But I don't know why that would be relevant to share with me.
Because she's, how often, or
Come on,
what was
come on.
her schedule for being incarcerated? As far as lockdowns, you've talked about different security levels to Mr. Young at the jail. Certain freedoms you have with different levels. When you first met her, say the first week, what was her security level, or how was she being held?
She was on suicide watch.
She was on suicide watch. Okay.
Cook, if you could find a reasonable breaking point in the next 5 minutes or so.
We can do it now.
I don't want to interrupt, but if you want to do it now, it's okay.
No, Your Honor, we can do it now.
Okay, all right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will take our afternoon recess. I can have everyone back in the jury room at say 3:40. We should be able to start on time at that point.
Dude,
Again,
she's
don't
on
discuss
the
the case among
stand
yourselves,
for
don't discuss-
holy moly. She's gonna be on the stand for like a fucking another almost 2 hours. That's crazy. All right, I'm gonna pause it there because I know Allie is going to be going live with the newest set of calls. I will drop her link. Make sure that we Jade raid over there. Fingers crossed the calls upload in time because she has been working all day on these Letecia calls and it's taking like forever to get them uploaded. She has nothing to appeal. The judge ran the court. He did. Honestly, he's one of the best judges I've ever seen. She's vile, Peaches. She's vile. I know, Chris, right? Doesn't it make all the difference? Hey, Melanie. And so I'm so excited to hear some more calls. I know they did it over at Bendy's last night and they're doing it on Allie's tonight. And so I will meet you guys over there. It's good, Becky. I think it's March 2023, I think. And they're Amy Lang and stuff. So they're always good. I will see you guys tomorrow though for members only Monday. If I do not see you over at Allie. So thanks for hanging out. Thanks for chilling in your pajamas with me. Hey, Riley. Oh, good luck with your homework. Hopefully you get it done soon. It's Sunday damn night. Come on. Oh, 2022. Thank you, poor Linda. You're welcome, darling. Yeah, Keith, Jade Raid over there. I will see you guys over there. I hope you all have an amazing rest of your night. And I will talk to you all soon.
The people are like really nice. Like everybody knows my name.
Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name.